What do you get if you mix a Lucky Cat with a Pikachu? Well, just about the darn cutest thing you'll ever see in the entire world. So one day we had just finished dim sum with our friend Glendra, and we ran into this cutie little patootie at the window of a hobbyist shop. So Glenn went to the shop owner and asked, how much does he cost? Because I would love to bring him home. To which she replied, he's not for sale. As soon as I heard her say that, inside of my head I was like, well, if you're not gonna sell it to Glendra, I'm just gonna have to make it for them. So here we are, making another DIY for some beautiful friends. If you also have a project that you're currently working on, feel free to bring it out. We can have a little bit of a crafting session together while I walk you through the process. Let's go. So I MacGyvered this little setup with an IKEA light stand and then this really cheap flimsy phone holder, and that's my ring light. So we'll see how this works. Alright, here we go. So step one. First thing that I had to do is take out my Sculpey and then start conditioning it with my hands just to warm it up a bit, because normally it comes out quite hard and crumbly. So to make it easier to manipulate, the first thing you want to do is to really massage it, get a good hand workout. And the next thing I'm going to do for Lucky Pika is kind of bulk him out with these aluminum foil balls. He's a little bit pudgy and you don't want to be using that much clay. Also, more importantly, when you bake it, you want to make sure it cures all the way through. So you don't want to have this big honking piece of clay that burns on the outside but is still soft on the inside. This box of Sculpey that I got, I've had for like the past 5 years. And originally I just bought it to make little trinkets as gifts for friends. Normally I'll make little ornaments for people for Christmas. Every single time I have a volleyball team, I'll make these little volleyball keychains for everybody with their initials on it. I've done little earrings with them before. It's just a very fun medium to experiment with. I will say that this is the first time I've done a polymer clay project to this scale and complexity, so I have no idea what gave me the audacity to look at that figurine and decide, well, I can make that. I think it's very similar to when my mom goes to restaurants and she'll take one bite of the food and immediately declare, everybody, I can make this at home. And her thought is, if a person has made this, then there's no reason that she can't make it and figure it out, which is a very empowering mindset to have that much faith in yourself. And luckily for this project, it wasn't like I had to be an artist or be a creative. I literally just had to make a copy of something cute that we saw. And luckily there were so many references of this figurine online for me to draw from. All I had to do is do a quick type of Lucky Pikachu and the internet came through with all of these full frontals, full sidles, full backles. It was exactly what I needed to make sure the overall shape came out the same and the little details were there. But I will say that as I was digging around, I noticed that multiple different companies sold the same thing, but with slightly different details that you could only pick out if you looked really closely. Hello, I had to quickly run and put on this sweater because even though it is sunny in Vancouver right now, it's freaking chilly. So I want to be a little bit comfy cozy. And also, this is my favorite sweater and there's a little Pikachu hidden in here. And I thought, it's on theme. First person to find a little Pikachu on the sweater, comment down below. There might even be a couple, but let me know if you can find him. And I will, heck, I'll make you a polymer clay keychain. This is just coming off of me finishing making the last giveaway prize, and I just love any excuse to make things for people, so good luck. Okay, I've been modeling for a couple hours now, and it's almost 2 a.m., so I think it's time to just call it quits for the night and then hit her up tomorrow. I got her sealed in this little airtight container. Okay, it is the next day, and I am back to work on Lucky Cat, who's been patiently sitting inside this container. It's a fresh prep container, so I think she might be smelling like food now. Ooh. I'm a huge proponent for trying different crafts. There's always a little bit of discomfort when you're a novice at something. You don't know what tools you need, you don't know how things are properly done, but the process of experimenting and just trial and error is so much fun. Especially when it's low stakes like this and it's just a lovely gift for friends. There's a lot of grace for when you make mistakes. And part of the journey for learning is just relinquishing the need for perfection. It's something that I'm getting better and better at. Progress over perfection for sure. Like there's parts of this baby where his head is just deformed, but I can still sleep at night. It's gonna be okay. You really don't want the need for perfection to cripple you from completion, and especially you don't want it to cripple you from even starting a project. In the end, nothing beats the feeling of elation and accomplishment when you finish a project, and there are so many learnings along the way that you'll take to your next project. Oh, and as a Polymer Clay newbie, if you have any tips and tricks or observations on things that I could do better or differently, please let me know down below. I would super appreciate it. Also, major thank you to all the craft gurus on YouTube that I referred to while I was making this. It's one of the reasons I love this platform. You basically have a library at your fingertips where you can learn from the best. Big shout out to you Penny Doodles, Tammy Ding from Uncomfy, I the Crafter, Valerie Way, and Tina Lee. These masters have not only taught me through showing me their process, but has also kept me company. One thing that I didn't make at the same time was a little tester piece I wanted to have as a guinea pig for when I did some baking and some glazing in the future. So Thomas is a big fan of his breakfast foods, and every single morning he makes this sunny side egg on hash browns with bacon or pork sides and an avocado. So I thought it would be really cute to make this little egg, and one day I'm just gonna prank him and plop it on the top of a hash brown and serve it to him and see if he thinks it's real. He probably won't fall for it, but stay tuned to see how this little guy turns out. I hope he survives the bake. I'm a little bit nervous. I feel a little bit nervous about all these different thicknesses that are going in the oven. So fingers crossed for his survival. So here we go to the oven. Little guy's just sitting calmly on its platter. All right, little buddies. It's gonna be a little bit hot in there. You're gonna feel a little bit of heat, but don't worry. It's all part of your clay destiny. And I'll come back and check on you in a couple minutes. So after a couple rounds of 15-minute intervals, especially for the bigger chunk, I pulled them out, and here he is. He was fine for the most part, just lost an eyeball, but that's fixable. Okay, now we're on to step 3, which is the painting portion. This part I knew was going to be a little bit tricky because of all the little nooks and crannies that he had. And the biggest challenge here was painting one portion without contaminating another surface area. And if I painted over another piece, I had to go back and fix it once everything dried up. I think in the future, if I do decide to get into more Polymer Clay projects, I'll probably buy different colors and mix them together rather than relying on painting once it dried. This part took the longest amount of time, but it was actually really enjoyable. I had a mix of Chinese variety shows playing in the background, Rotten Mango podcast because I love Stephanie Sue. And the thing I love about making crafts like this is that they are intricate and require my entire focus, so I find myself being more present than I usually am in my day-to-day. I love that I'm using my hands. I love that I'm not behind a screen. I love that my mind can take a bit of a pause, because normally I'm very much like a buzzing little bee going from one place to another, and my mind is constantly on overdrive. And so taking the time to just paint a piece of clay was like taking a mental pause. And it's so fun to create something physical and tangible. It's very visually satisfying and gratifying to see this come out of this through my own hands. And I really encourage everyone, especially in today's society where we don't give ourselves enough moments of pause and presence, to just try to experiment with some kind of manual craft. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be knitting, or it doesn't have to be clay, but it could be tinkering with a new instrument. It could be learning guitar, taking up watercolor painting, picking up woodworking. It blows my mind sometimes how much time I've spent behind a screen, and without realizing it, especially if you have a day job that you spend behind a computer, our work is behind a computer, our entertainment is behind a screen, our correspondence is behind a screen. Also, the older I get, I feel like I'm constantly being externally stimulated and consuming things from the outside. So it feels very rejuvenating to take certain moments to, instead of externally take things in, to have your internals go out. Does that make sense? That was not communicated as well as I wanted, and now it feels like I just want to spill out my intestines. Okay, what I really mean, and I don't know if anyone can relate, but when I was younger, I felt like I was more inspired and more able to get lost in my inner daydreams and tap into my own creativity. But as I get older, with this inundation of external inspiration, I think a lot of my own creative voice gets drowned out by the consumption of everyone else's content and creations. And moments like this where I feel like time slows down a little bit, and because I'm so absorbed in what I'm doing, it feels like I can get a little bit of that creativity back. I know that this DIY is not a great example of me being creative because I'm literally copying a physical item, but it's a small sampling of being on the side of the creator rather than the consumer. Overall with the painting, in spite of all the areas where I touched parts with paints that wasn't supposed to be there, I think she came out imperfectly perfect. I mean, I think it's one of those things where if you stand about 10 feet away and look at it in the horizon, it is utter perfection. Just do not bring her close. If you look at him close, a couple inches from your face, you'll find things where they're not meant to be. I'll just say that. So Glenn and Kendra, once I get this to you, just be warned. You might find portions of the clay where you can literally see my thumbprints on it. And I think I may have lost an eyelash on the clay and now it's just stuck in there. And there's probably some lint and carpet fuzz on that thing. But I hope you still find him cute. Alrighty friends, we have made it to step 4 of the process, which is the glazing portion. And it's something new to me because I've never done this for any of my charms before. But I think it makes heck of a difference. So I already had this UV nail gel lamp and all I had to do was get some UV resin. As I mentioned earlier, I made a little scrambled eggie as a little trial piece. I glazed her first just to see what the finish would look like, and it made it look so much more freaking realistic to have it be shiny on the surface. It reminded me of when you go to Japan and visit restaurants. They'll have all these 1-to-1 scale models of the food from their menu on display. I feel like every single restaurant, as a minimum, should have pictures of their dishes on their menu. But Japan was like, I'ma do you one better. I'm literally gonna have a 3D model of the food so you can see what the size of an egg is. Some of them actually don't look as appetizing as real food, but I love that they do this. It's just so very extra. So this glazing part actually took a lot of different layers. It kept dripping and I had to do one surface at a time and cure it completely, which took about 5+ minutes per side. But I'ma tell you that when it came out with the glaze, it looked legitimate. Like I showed it to Thomas and he was like, it legit looks like something that you could buy at the store. And I was like, really? You think so? And as some finishing touches, the original Lucky Pikachu had a plaque with Asian characters on it on one side and a bell on the other side, and I tried making the Asian characters out of clay. It was just so hard and did not come out looking correctly, so instead I just did Glenn and Kendra's first initial. And then on the other side, this is my favorite detail on this piece. It's a Figurine noodle package that she's holding. And it's just the cutest little thing. I got these earrings from a friend of mine. We would do clothing swaps with my girls every now and then, and she was giving them away, and I love these earrings. But as soon as I was making this project, I knew he had to be holding the Figurine. It just felt too perfect. And also, I freaking love Figurine. Maybe when I gift this to them, I'll include a Figurine package in there as well. I think that'd be really funny. There we have it. She is complete. She is glorious. I think she looks very similar to the actual original figurine. I, for one, am proud of this piece and I'm really excited to give it to the friendos. They've been really busy this month, so I don't know when I'm gonna see them next. I might just drop it off at their door. Thomas really wants to see their reaction, but I might just end up showing them this video before I can give them the physical version. Oh, so Glenn and Kendra, if you're watching right now, here's your new baby. I hope you like him and that he'll fit nicely into your home. And to everyone else tuning in, thank you so much for watching. I've been really appreciating the support I've gotten to explore my more creative side this year. I have a whole list of upcoming projects I'm going to be tackling, but of course, if any of you guys have any ideas for DIYs that you'd like to see me try, feel free to drop a comment down below, and we will see you next time. Say bye! Bye! Pika Pika!